So let me begin with showing the database what I did in the last class. I think in one session I finished the creation and retrieval, and then the next session where actual CRUD operations happen, it got corrupted. So anyway, from the beginning I'll take it up. I'll just see whether the database is there. App underscore data. There is a database. Let me just open that and show you what we had done. I think it was connected which we missed, right? Not disconnected. I think I've recorded it. Only connected is missing. I think so. Yes, okay. Guys, just give a confirmation. Is it connected or disconnected which was missing? Connected, right? Brian? Connected, yeah, okay, fine. So anyway, let me just start with that. So before we begin, since this program has been already done once, and since the design is already ready, I'm not going to do it from the beginning so that I can finish it in this 1 hour. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show the database what I had already created for this particular subject, with this particular program. Okay, it was a student DB and the table was such. Okay, so I'll just open that table now. There are two things there: show table data as well as show table definition. Table definition will show you what is the structure of the database. Okay, it's like describing DESC what you do there, but this is just the data which is already there in the database. I have student ID, student name, student course, year of joining. This is my data structure. Okay, and let me just show you the definition. Table definition of this is first one is auto increment, which in other words identity here, and then second one is a varchar, third is also a varchar, fourth is an integer. This is what we had done, and we kept this aside. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do retrieval, insert, update, and delete on this particular database itself. So let me just begin with the first one. This is the structure, guys, identity, and I said the starting number is 191701, and seed is this, and the increment value is 1. By 1 it will keep incrementing. The first number will be 191701. Okay, so that is already done, and I've got the answer also. So this is how we had kept it. So let me just start with display. So first thing, I need to retrieve and display to the user. So let me go to the design. Okay, so in the design what I had done was I just dragged and dropped a grid view, and I had given the CSS property of a table to it because it will be converted into a table, and I had just given a hyperlink which will take me to the next page, which is insert.aspx. Okay, so now let me go to the code. The code which is going to be written here is a connected architecture code of retrieving data and putting it on this particular grid view. For that, I'm going to go to the code part of display.aspx, which is display.aspx.cs. Now in this file, all I need to do is connected architecture. There are only three keywords I wanted to remember. Connection, SQL connection itself. Second one is command, SQL command. Third one is data reader. Okay, only the two things are required. The first two things what I described is more than enough to perform insert, update, and delete. But if you are retrieving something, you need a reader. Okay, just like how we had done it in JDBC for Java, we just need a result set only if there is a result to be retrieved. Otherwise, we don't require that result set at all. Just to perform insert or update or delete, you don't require a result set. Okay, so guys, if you're messaging, I'm not able to see. Okay, please do unmute your mic and speak. I'll not be able to see because I've not opened it in another device. Okay, so anyway, if you have any thing to stop, please do unmute your mic and speak. Okay, anyway, let me just start. So first thing I'm going to do is connect to the database, then issue a command saying that select star from table name, and whatever comes from the table name, I'm going to take it and I'm going to read it using the data reader. These are the three things I'm going to write. So let me just quickly write that code for SQL connection. Now when you write this, you need to also make sure that you import system.data.sql client. This is the most important namespace which you need to remember.
So it's zoomed in too much.
It's zoomed in too much. It is just I've not zoomed at all. Is this fine?
So 1 minute, I think it is okay.
Okay. All right. Fine. Moving on, I'm going to create an object of this connection. Let me just create it as new SQL connection. And please note what I'm supposed to pass here is the connection string. Okay, and if a string has any slashes, backslashes and stuff, it's better to put at so that it'll escape all those things in one shot here in C Sharp. Okay, so I'm going to get the connection string that I'll get it from the server itself. I can just right click on the database, go to its properties and copy the connection string from there and put it here. Okay, I told you how to change this also. The double quote is in the middle is not required. You can just remove that, the double quote, and you can also remove the space which is there. This is not recommended, guys. I've already told you how to change this. Okay, this entire thing can be changed into one word: pipe data directory pipe. Okay, please note this is the data directory. This will automatically find the data directory of your project in which your database is located. Here it is app_data. Okay, and slash filename.mdf. That's it. This is your connection string. Let's close this statement. And if you remember how I did in the following classes after this, we had made a separate DBO for that particular purpose. Okay, that is very important. You should remember that, and it will be written only once there. Here I'm writing it in every sentence. Okay, so that is done. Now let's go to the next step. Okay, next I'm going to write con.open. The connection needs to get open. So that is done. Second step is to issue a command. Okay, so let me just keep it as cmd is equal to new SQL command. I need to pass two parameters here. Number one, what is the query? Number two, on top of what should I execute this query? So let me just put select star from TBL student details. Be very careful with the spelling, and case is not important. Spelling. Next one is on top of what I'm going to execute this, on top of connection object. Done. Okay, and after this I need to bring in the SQL data reader because I'm retrieving data here. So data reader dr is equal to, I am not going to create a new reader, rather I'm going to execute this command and then say return an object of that reader. Okay, so command dot execute reader. Done. So now when this execution happens here, execute reader happens using the command object, whatever is returned is now read and stored by data reader object, which is dr. So all I can do is I can call the grid view, which I created in the design, call students, and then say data source. The source of data for that grid view comes from this particular data reader object. That's it. So grid view dot data source is equal to whatever is there in the data reader. Done. Last line without forgetting this. Okay, data bind. Do not forget this. Data bind. That's it. So when you run the program now, you'll find the results retrieved onto the display.aspx file. Okay, this is retrieval. Okay, so meanwhile when it is running, please do remember the same logic applies. The code will not look the same for insert, update and delete, because while you're inserting, updating or deleting, you're not reading anything, rather you're writing into it. So that is an execute update in which you need to make sure that you just need to give the connection, give the command, and once the command has been executed, okay, which is not a query, that's all I need you to remember. Here it is reader, but the remaining queries what you're executing are not queries. Basically they are updates. Okay, they are modifying code. Okay, so let me just see whether it works. This should retrieve all the record onto the grid view which is there in my design. Staying too much. Okay, in the meantime, while you write an insert.aspx file, okay, in the insert, all I'm going to do is take data from the user, and when you click on submit, I'm going to add it to the database. Okay, so here the grid view is working and the data has been retrieved and displayed here. Okay, so in the previous class on 19th, I have given how to change this URL there, the ID, the title of this particular grid view that I've given it in that class. Please do refer to find out how to change this title. This is right now retrieving directly from the database itself and displaying. Please do refer for that video to change this value also. Okay, now moving on. Second thing what I'm going to do is insert. So let me go to insert.aspx. Now let me show the design to you so that it's clearer for us. Okay, so when you click on this add student, I'm going to take the name of the student, course what the student is studying, as well as the year of joining. I'm going to take all these three and then pass it to the database. So when I double click on this button, I would like a method to be created which is going to show me like btn insert underscore click. So this is the method which I'm going to call as soon as you click on the button. So before I go to the database part, first let me collect the information what the user has given, starting with string name. Okay, I'll just say student name or s name is equal to txt name dot text. No conversions, nothing required because it's just a string. Second one is also a string which is a course. So I'm going to say course is equal to drop down list dot selected value. Okay, next one is year of joining, that I need to convert. So I'm going to say yoj is equal to int dot parse txt yoj dot text. Whatever you have entered there, I'll pass it into a number and then store it in yoj here. Okay, so I've got the records or the details what the user has entered and I've stored it here. Next step is to start my connection. I think I've already written the code. So let me just take the first two lines of code, which is common. Okay, let me put it here and let me just continue. Next one I need is a command. SQL command is equal to new SQL command. Okay, so here I need to pass two parameters. One is the insert query. Second one is the connection. Okay, the reason why I'm not writing it later, I'm writing it now only, is for you to see this is the syntax I want you to write first, then go into this, because at sometimes I've seen people forgetting this particular line, which will not work. Okay, so make sure that this is done, and followed by which let me write the query. Okay, what is the query? Insert into TBL student details. What are the things I'm going to insert? Student underscore name, student underscore course, and student underscore yoj. These are the three records I'm going to insert. What are those values for those things? So starting with number one, single quote, I'll start, then I'll put a double quote, and here I'm going to put the student name, what I took in C# right now, and then continue the query by closing the single quote, put a comma. Next also is a string, so single quote again, close the double quote, and then concatenate that with the next one, which is course, which I took in C# right now. And then later I'll continue that, comma. Next one is a number. I need not put anything, just continue, concatenate that with yoj, just again what I took in C#. Then later all I need to do is close the bracket which I've opened there in values. This bracket I've closed it here. I hope this query is fine. Okay, there is another way which I'll take in another class. Okay, but please do remember this is the general way of adding. This is not right. Okay, there is another way called parameterized way which I will cover in another class. Okay, so please do remember this is the query what I've written plain, and then I'm going to say it's very simple here to just say if. Okay, the command, this command when it is executing, if it returns that says that how many rows are getting updated because of this query. Okay, because of this non-query. Right, because it's not querying, it's rather an update. Just like how in JDBC they said execute update, update returns a number by which how many records got updated. Here also same, I'm going to write if command dot execute non-query. Please note it returns a number. It returns the number of rows affected. Okay, if that command dot execute non-query returns a value which is greater than 0, then I think it's safe to say response.write, or you can write alert messages or whatever you want to do, saying that it has been inserted successfully. Here I'm going to say response.redirect. I'm going to take him back to display.aspx. That's all. Okay, because I want you to take me back to the page where I can see the value whether it is inserted or not. You can also put a message, an alert message saying that it's been inserted successfully, etc. Okay, so that is one. Now that's it. I think this is enough. Let me just run the program. Okay. In the meanwhile, please note what is the next step. What you need to do is update. In order to do the update, I've divided into 3 sections. I've divided the entire program to 3 sections purposely because you can do the same thing using a grid view or your own logic. But here I've used it because I wanted you to see how each stage of the page is taken care of. Okay, so let me just add a new data. Year of joining 2017. Let me just add, and if it is successful, it should take me to display.aspx, in which the latest record what I inserted is shown. Connected architecture way of inserting a record. Okay, so what about updating a record? Same thing. Code will be almost same. Only thing is insert will be replaced with update, and the values not only just 3. I also require the ID of the student. That's all. So let me just do that now. Let's go to update.aspx. Let me show you the design first before I go to the code part. I have the same look and feel as the insert. Only difference is that I've put a drop down here, so that you can choose a particular student, and then when you click on him or choose the particular student, then I'll go to retrieving all these records and then putting it here. Okay, so there is a reason why I've done like this. There is another way of doing it, like a grid view way, like a data table way, which is known to many people who are using JavaScript. Okay, but I'm purposely doing this way to introduce a little bit more concepts of ASP.NET here. Okay, so now imagine I have a drop down. I have this drop down is data bound, which means right now when I'm designing, I don't know the contents of this particular drop down. But remaining 3 things, I'm very much sure what, remaining 1 more drop down which I have, I can very much surely tell you what are the courses. That also I can make it data bound, but still I'm just telling this is data bound. This is right now not data bound. Okay, so once this data bound drop down list is there, you choose a particular data, and once you choose it, I want to refresh this page, which means ask the server to get me new data and put them here. Fill these text boxes by default, and once it is filled, I'll be able to go and modify it and then press on update. Okay, this why I took this particular concept is because there are a lot of websites which does that right now for a particular person's profile details. Okay, for example, if you go to edit your profile, what would happen? Okay, when you edit your profile, already whatever you had entered will be retrieved and displayed in a text box. Then you can modify it. That's what we are trying to do here. Okay, so first thing I need to do is make sure the drop down here is enabled with auto post back. I hope you can read that, but anyway, let me just zoom it once. Please don't forget this particular property. Enable auto post back. If you remove this checkbox, it becomes a normal drop down which will not react for your operations. Okay, so please don't forget this drop down. I don't require that. I hope you get it. Okay, this drop down, I'm not doing anything programmatical. You just need to choose one option from that, that's all. But here, once you choose an option, I need to do something. Then I need to make sure that it goes back to the server and fetches me data. This is enable auto post back. Don't forget this. So the first step, there are 3 things in this particular program. First step is load all the data onto the drop down list first. Second, once the user chooses the drop down and selects a particular student's record, I need to retrieve all the details about that particular student and then retrieve them and put them in these text boxes or drop down list, whatever it is. Okay, and once you click on the update button, I need to take those data what you have newly entered and update the database. So which means my program is divided into 3 sections. Let's start with the first section, page load. Okay, as soon as the page loads, what do you want me to do? Since I've already discussed this in the previous classes, I'm repeating it once again. I think I've done that in disconnected architecture. So I'm going to repeat this once again. The very first time you load your page, this drop down list gets populated. Okay, but please note, every time the page loads, that same code will get executed. Which means, imagine if I have 5 students record and I clicked on one of the students, the page will reload. Which means it goes to the server, fetches me all the records of that particular student. While that happens, the page is reloading, which means again this method will be called page load, because there is no such thing as reload in a browser. Okay, that is our perception. For a system, HTTP, everything is a new request. So when I give page reload, because basically it will call page load only, in that case, all my data will again be shuffled, which means it will again reset my value to the first record which you have. I don't want that. So how do I avoid that? Here in .NET, you have a page property. Okay, the property name is called isPostBack. So all I need to do is to make sure that I put everything inside one if condition saying if it is not isPostBack. Okay, it is sometimes confusing for some people, but please read this. It's very simple. Okay, if it is not the first time, if it is not the first time this page is running. Okay, do not think it is the first time. Okay, if it is not the first time, which means first time when you run, you're supposed to execute this code. If it is not the first time, which means any consecutive time you're reloading the same page, then you're not supposed to execute this code. I hope this code is clear. Okay, so if it is not the first time, and what do you mean by that? Okay, if it is the first time, I need to execute. If it is the next time, don't execute. Okay, so what should I do? Okay, so first thing I need to make sure is retrieve everything, right? So I'm gonna open connection, which I already have copied. Okay, I can have that same. I need to open the connection to the database. So irrespective of what I'm doing, so I'm gonna open the connection and let me call the command cmd is equal to new SQL command. What is the command here? Please note, I don't require star here. I don't require to retrieve all the records. Why? Because the drop down, I need two things. One, the data what I need to show to the user, and the another one is the data by which the developer will know which record am I talking to, a unique record. So I'm going to take only two things: student underscore ID and student underscore name. I need only these two records from the user. So I'm going to say select these two from TBL student details. This is my query. Where do I execute this query? On top of the connection. Do not forget that line. Okay, so that is that's a constructor, so it will not throw error even if you have not written comma con. But when you run, you'll get an error. Okay, that's why I'm repeating that again and again. So now, since it's a retrieval operation, however, I'm going to write data reader. So I'm going to say SQL data reader dr is equal to command dot execute reader. So now, what about the record which I retrieved? Whatever record you get from select student ID comma student name from table name is now stored in this command itself. Okay, and I execute this command and then store it in my data reader object. Right now, whatever is there is now stored in data reader. So what is the source of my data here? Data reader. The reader has read all that information. So I'm going to call that drop down list, which is courses students. Okay, there are two drop down lists. I'm looking for students. That's the dynamic drop down. Okay, and I'm going to say data source. The source of data for that drop down list is going to come from this dr, which is nothing but data reader. That's it. Now, after this, you're not supposed to stop. You should go one step ahead and also tell the system which one is going to be shown to the user, which one is going to be taken for the developer's purpose. So let's do that. I'm going to say DDL students, same drop down list, dot data text field and value field are there. Okay, so what will be the text of the field? Okay, here I need to just say student. Please note it should be the exact column name what you have given here, student underscore name. That will be the text what the user will be seeing. And what will be the data value field? Okay, the value field is nothing but my student underscore ID. Done. Okay, it's still not over. Since it's a collection of data, it's always recommended or it's compulsory for you to data bind. Done. Okay, so if it is not the first time, okay, or if it is, in other words, if it is not a post back, if it is not a reload, okay, if it is only the first time you are coming to this page, then execute this block of code. If it is consecutive times, second, third, fourth, fifth time which you are repeating this page or refreshing or choosing a drop down and then you are coming to this particular page, then do not execute this block of code. This block of code will get executed only the first time. Okay, every time you reload the page, not refresh the page. Please note, reloading and refreshing, I'm telling different. Refresh is F5 on your browser. You are refreshing the page. That is not considered. Okay, that is considered as a entire page is being reloaded. But when you call it programmatically, we do not consider it as a entire reload or refresh. We call it as a post back. Okay, please be a little bit aware of this. Now let's move on. If you want, we can check this also right now. As soon as I run the program, what should I get? Okay, I should not see the drop down to be empty. The drop down should have some values there. Okay, and right now if you see, the first student's record will be put on the top, which is not what I want. I want a dummy value always in the drop down list, so I can programmatically insert it. Okay, so anyway, here this is the drop down. It shows all the records. When I choose, the page refreshes but nothing happens. Okay, so when I choose this particular thing, you can see this part where the page is getting reloaded but nothing happens. Okay, the name which I choose stays. Even the page reloading, the record which I chose still will stay because I wrote the code like that. Okay, now before I continue, let me stop this and let me just add one more. small line of code so that I don't have it blank. I cannot do it during runtime. Sorry, design time. I have to do it during runtime because design time, if I add, all my values will be ignored and the data source is changing during the runtime. So I'm going to say items dot insert at a particular location. What is the index? I want you to index at first. I want you to add this. And what do you want me to add? I want you to add the word called select a student. That's all. Okay, you are inserting it at index 0. What is the word you want to insert? You want to insert this keyword dummy value, select a student. That's all. Okay, so this is the first step. The second step is as soon as the user chooses a particular file, I mean once he chooses this, once he changes the value in the drop down, what do you want me to do? Let me double click on the drop down and a method is getting created called drop down list underscore selected index changed. If the index changes of that particular drop down, what do you want me to do? Okay, please note, I would like you to fetch what value the user has chosen. That is what I want. Okay, so let me just do that. And by the way, please remember that I need that whatever the user has chosen, that student name, I needed to retrieve his records and display, also to update, which means I need it globally. So let me create it globally called int register number or something like that. Okay, and keep it there. Okay, there will be, this is also is a problem, but I hope by now you understand what is the problem. Every time the page reloads, okay, all these variables which are normal variables will be resetted back to its original. Right now, what is the value of register number? 0. So when I refresh or reload my page programmatically, class wise, that value will be returned back to 0, which is not what I want. I want you to retain the value through page reloads, okay, or reinstantiation of the same object. In that case, I need to make sure that I mention it as static. That's all. Okay, so now let me go into setting that value. Register number is equal to int dot path, because it's an integer, whatever the user has chosen in the drop down list. Okay, selected value. What value you have selected from the drop down list, I want you to put that here. Number 1. Number 2, I would like to take up a connection. Let's open the connection and fetch all the records of this particular register number. Let's write that SQL command cmd is equal to new SQL command select star all the records from TBL student details, where I think we have given the name as student underscore ID is equal to, let's concatenate that with the register number what you have got globally. And where do you want to execute this command? On top of the connection object. So you can see select star from table name where student ID is equal to something, comma, connection object. Done. Okay, so command is ready, and please note still it is a retrieval only, which means I need not write, sorry, I cannot stop here. I need to write data reader. Okay, so let's write the data reader now. The next thing is I have SQL data reader. Okay, it's compulsory to use the reader if it is a select, because you need to retrieve and display that. Okay, dr is equal to command dot execute reader. Done. Now, just like how we had done in JDBC, as long as there is a record, please note, without writing rs.next, result set.next, we cannot retrieve even a single value from that result set. That's what we had seen in JDBC. Same logic applies here. If you forget this while loop or the loop in which you need to make sure that the data reader reads physically, in that case it will not work. So I'm going to write while dr.read. Okay, in other words, as long as the data reader has data to read, move forward. Okay, so how do I do that? Now all I need to do is get the data from the data reader. Let's do that in a short form. Okay, so let me just take the text boxes, name dot text. I'm setting the value of that text box from whatever I'm getting from this data reader. Okay, since it is a string what I'm looking for, I'll just put get string, and I need to pass the index, column index. Okay, please note it is mentioning 0 based column ordinal. Okay, in other words, we can just think if I have 4 records, ID, name, course and year. Okay, so ID will be 0, name will be 1, course will be 2 and year will be 3. Okay, that's how we need to remember. So here I want the name, so I'll just put 1. And please be very careful with the data type. Okay, next one, drop down list. So I'm going to say drop down list of students dot selected value is equal to whatever the user has got. That's also a string in the second column. Last one is txt year of joining dot text is equal to, please note, you're not getting a string, you're getting an integer here. So dr dot get int, please choose int 32, the 32 bit is the normal one, and then you say 3, the third record. That cannot be put inside a text box, so it's very simple to call to string. Whatever you retrieve, convert it into a string and then put it in the text box. Okay, you cannot say get string, it's not recommended to put get string because data type changes. So from the database, what data type you had, take that, convert it into a string and put it in the text box. That's it. Okay, this is your retrieval code, and here there is no data binding required because you are not getting a collection of data, rather it is only one person's record. Okay, so let me just I think it's better I finish that program and then run it totally. So basically what I've done right now, I've populated the drop down list. Once you choose an item from the drop down list, I will set this global variable, which is static, into that whatever you have chosen from the drop down list and store it in register number. And with the query of select star from table name where id equal to whatever the user has chosen, I'll get all that particular person's record and it will be stored in dr. Then I'm retrieving them and displaying them in the corresponding controls. Okay, that's it. The last part of this particular program would be the update. Okay, so let me just double click on this update button and let's see what should I do. Here I need to make sure that all the 4 records are retrieved from the user, starting with register number. So let me say int register number, it's already there. Okay, so I need not write this code at all because it's globally available. So all I need to do is the remaining part, string s name is equal to txt name dot text. 1, no need to convert because it's just a string. Second one is also the same thing, string course is equal to whatever the user has chosen from the drop down list of courses. Last one, int year of joining is equal to txt year of joining dot text, which will not be working out because you're looking for an integer. So let me just put everything inside int dot parse. Done. Okay, so moving on, what should we do next is write the command. So let me just take connection first, and let me call the command object. Command is equal to new SQL command. I need to pass 2 parameters. One is the query, the other one is the connection object. Okay, how will my query look like here? This will be a little bit lengthy, but still you can follow this. I'm going to write with update TBL student details set. Okay, so we'll set one by one now. Student underscore name is equal to single quote, concatenate that with s name what you got from C# now, and then single quote. So that one thing is done, comma. What I should tell now is student underscore course is equal to, okay, again single quote starts, okay, and then next I need to give the value. So let me just close the double quote and then concatenate, and let's say, okay, student course is equal to whatever I got from the user in this one. Okay, just give me a moment. Yes, okay, course. Next I need to close that course single quote, then comma, I need to take up student underscore year of joining is equal to, okay, there's no single quote required here. I can close the double quote, concatenate that with YOJ, which I just took in C# right now. I cannot stop here. Please know it's a blunder if I stop it here. Let me proceed and then say, after the year of joining is also put, where student underscore name is equal to, that is very, very important. Sorry, student ID, I'll not take name, where the student ID is equal to, no single quote required here. I'll concatenate that with whatever the user register number, what the user has chosen in the drop down list earlier, which is again a global variable, and it is static, which means the value will not get changed even if you refreshed or reloaded the page programmatically. Okay, so this is my query. Let me repeat again. Update table name set, name is equal to whatever the user has entered, course is equal to whatever the user has entered, and year of joining is equal to whatever the user has entered, where student ID is equal to what you have chosen from the drop down list, and I've set it in a static variable. Okay, my query is ready. So the next step is much simple. Just like our insert, I just need to write if command dot execute non-query. If this method returns a value which is greater than 0, which means if this update query updates at least one record, then you can just say response dot redirect display dot aspx. Take me to the display page so that I can check whether the value has been updated or not. Or you can even put a message saying that updated successfully, etc., etc. Okay, let me just check and see whether this program works. Okay, please check this. Okay, so as soon as I run the page, please note as our code goes, all the data of the students are retrieved plus one value, dummy value has been added at index of 0, select a student. So that's not an actual value, the remaining ones are. So let me just choose a particular student and let's see what is the error. Okay, which is not there in the list of items. Okay, did I add a new course? Yes, I added MSCST. Okay, sorry, I think it is not there in the list. Let me just check the table design. MSCST is there in my drop down. Okay. The value must be there in the database and it should be matching with your drop down list's value. So please be aware of that. I think I chose somebody, I don't know which student I chose. Let me check the details. Let me choose Rajesh and check. Okay, the error which is thrown right now, let me just check 1 second. Okay, guys, when an error like this happens, please make sure that you use your ID as the maximum, because here, please note, the system stops the execution. No other ID does that for us. For the whatever we have used, Eclipse or Android Studio, whatever we have used, errors will be coming in the log. We'll have to go and find out what it is. But when it comes to .NET, it stops the program and it shows you which line is an error. So it's easy for us to debug now because you can see what value has been put up. Okay, so what is coming as a selected value here is I think I changed the drop down list name is to DDL students, but actually it's supposed to be DDL courses. Okay, so I can easily find out what is the problem. I can just say DDL courses, not students. I'm setting the value of courses, not students. I did not see that. Okay, so but when you move your mouse over that, when you have that error, it shows what value is dumped on it. Okay, it's trying to dump the value of 191701, which is not going to work out for me. Okay, that's what's the problem. So let me just change it. Now let me run it. Okay, while program execution stops and it shows like this. If you move your mouse while that problem has been shown, if you move your mouse over those variables, you can see what values have been given in the runtime to those particular variables. Okay, that's like how I saw right now. Okay, let me just check now. Now it's fine, because I gave the DDL courses instead of, I gave DDL students instead of courses. Okay, now you see that I've retrieved all the details of that particular student and displayed it here in the drop down list. Okay, as well as in the text boxes. Now I'm allowed to edit. So whatever I'm doing here is refreshing and going to the server, getting me the data and displaying it here. Okay, so now let me just change that value. Okay, let me just give some extra value and change the course to MCA and let's say 2018 and then click on update. If the update was successful, it will take me to the next page or the retrieve page where whatever updates I gave has been updated. Okay, that is updation. So there are 3 steps to that page of update. Okay, so starting with number 1, retrieving all the details and putting in the drop down. Once you choose a particular drop down and I'm doing an auto post back, and I'm going to the server, fetching the data and coming back and displaying it here. And once you give an update and then click on submit, okay, or update, I'm actually taking these values and then going to the server to do my database update. Okay, this is what we've been discussing, and I would expect you to do the remaining, the delete part, okay, on your own with a different page or in the same page also. You can try to do the delete part. Okay, so with this I'll stop. If you have any questions, please do ask, guys. This is connected and disconnected. This what I did today is connected. Okay, disconnected, I think I've already put the video. This video we had missed, so that's why I'm doing it once again. Okay, if you have any, if you have tried and if you have faced any issues, please do let me know, so that we can solve that and move forward. Okay, and after this is done, we'll be continuing with language integrated query, which I've already given an introduction. Please do refer the previous videos. And one more thing I wanted to show you guys was that if you remember the last semester, we had a video lectures library. That website was there, so some of them had a query of the web, I mean the playlist, the YouTube playlist is not clear of which concept is covered and what. So what I did was I did not change the YouTube playlist is still there, only with the dates it is there. Okay, so what I did was I've added it to your video lectures library. I hope you know the URL, sac-amit.in/videos. In that one, choose MCA and choose fifth semester. Okay, I think only I'm putting videos, so only my videos would be there in MCA fifth semester. I've put it like this. Okay, so every unit, what topic we have discussed in that video is also there. So you can click on this only and directly watch that video. So you know what video has what topic. Okay, instead of just looking at the dates, the YouTube playlist only has dates in that and session number, no information about it. Because so what I've done is I've uploaded with this information. You can click on it and you can watch that video, or what logic or what concept you want to see, only that concept you can take up and watch those videos. Okay, so we are right now in the third unit. I have finished these two. I think most of you have missed using the DBO. I think I started with DBO, but I did not finish it. I finished it in this class, and the next class I've started with introduction to language integrated query.